Okay, now that you have your 3ds Max open and you have the OpenGL for the video card, and you got your path, user path that we can call it, onto your data drive, you're set to start to use 3ds Max. So let's have a look at this. So first of all, when you open it, you have this user interface. We call that the UI. And you got all what we call over here is the viewports. So you always get the front view, top view, the left view, and then you also have the perspective view, which means that it's in 3D. If you click on them, that's when it starts to activate. When it turns yellow, that means it's going to be activated. So on top, you always have the menu bar. So everything about the software, you can find it from there. I usually use a lot of hotkeys. For this one, it makes it way faster. These are the quick menu tab that you're going to be using a lot. You will get to learn them very often, okay? And then you can also see this is the panel where we call the modifiers. You get the standard primitives in this case. That's where you start to create primitives objects. You get also another one about the spline, the lights, camera, the helpers. We're not going to see that very often. Space warps, maybe. But in the first one is that you will have what we call the standard primitive. The modifier panels, as you can see right now, you'll see in a short while. I'm going to show you what happens when you start to create stuff. And these are other tabs that you're going to be seeing a little bit. But for now, we're going to look at the basic of the user interface as we try. So if you click onto the box, I will use the top view and you'll see the workflow later on. But just to show you, like over here, the modifier panel again, look at all the stuff you can do with this little box. These are all things that you can modify with. So a lot of things, and that's what I meant by you have to pay attention to all the little clicks that we're going to be doing. So obviously, you go to File, Save, make sure that you're onto the Data D drive, and then you see the folder, it's into the scene. So under your 3ds Max, you're going to get to have a scene, and that's, I'm going to call it just user interface for this case, and just press on the Save, and that's where you're going to find, and that's where you should always save your stuff. Okay? Okay, so now what's going on at the bottom of this software, you're going to see this is what we call the timeline, where the keyframes are, and that's what we use for the animation. We'll use that later on into a different part of our learning. And the X, Y, and Z, those are very important parts that it tells you where we create stuff and where you're going to put them in kind of the real world. So I'll recreate the box just to show you, and if I press onto the W key to have the move tool, now you see the gizmo, and now you see where the X, the Y, and the Z are. So you can right click on those to put out the center of the world that we call. This is what we call the animation keys. We're going to use that later on. This is the DVD player kind of style, just play and rewind. And then you have this one, which is the actual navigation tool that you can have. I don't usually use that because I got a three button mouse, and I can do everything with that mouse that what's doing here. So an example would be like if I wanted to zoom, the middle mouse button, this would be the same thing as that one. If you spin the wheel upwards, it will be zooming in, and if you zoom backwards, it will zoom out. So that's what I do. And afterwards, if you do take click on the middle mouse button, you can actually pan your viewport. So middle mouse button does that if you click on it. And then after that, you have another one that if you do the right click, you get another option, but those will be a lot of menus that we'll see later on. For the moment, don't use the right click for this part. Now, if you use the hotkey Alt and middle mouse button, which will be the kind of the orbit in the navigation, but in this one, it's just like only use that one in the perspective view. Please don't use that in other places. I'll show you. So into the perspective, your Alt and middle mouse button, you can rotate your object and look at it from different views. Very useful, but remember, only the perspective. Because if you try to do that also into a different viewport, like if I go to my front view and I do that, watch what happens. It's going to go to orthographic, and orthographic makes it really hard to come back, and it's really not really nice. You can get lost very easily. So in order to come back to the actual front view, you just press on the hotkey F, and it will bring you back to the front view. So that's the main of the user interface. Do practice to do your rotation. There's also the cube that we've seen. So some students like it. I never use it, but it's always there. So you can click on to do each part to see it. So if you click on those little corners, it goes into perspective. You go to a different one. So you can see if you like it. I don't like it. I use my mouse to view all my stuff. So play around and check what you much prefer. That's it.